Welcome to Retro Retros. So today we're going to remove the seat bases on a Scania P400. Stay tuned. So fear not, you've come to the right channel, and yes, this isn't particularly retro and there's no restoration today. There is plenty to come soon on our Volkswagen T4 camper van and the Lancia Deltas and the motorbikes and all that good stuff. But for today, I just wanted to share this with you because it was something that I wasn't quite sure how to do, and some of you lorry drivers, fitters out there that have got dodgy old seats might want to find useful. So I'll just give you the little backstory and then we'll get into how you actually take the seats out. So this is a big old Scania P400. It's used as a basically a cart lorry for farm recycling. It gets some fairly heavy use, but only on the driver's side. There's never really a passenger in here. So our driver isn't, shall we say, the most slightest of gentlemen, but he'd actually torn away over time the lumbar part of his seat and split all the upholstery. But more importantly than that, the lumbar support was all broken away, and actually parts of it were lost and just turned to dust. But we didn't really want to fork out for a whole new seat, and the passenger seat never gets used, so we thought best thing to do probably is to just switch the seat covers around, and that would be that. Now there isn't much available online to show how to actually remove these seat bases, and it's not that difficult, but there is a little bit of a trick to it, so let's have a look at that now. So on the face of it, these seats are quite complicated, as you can imagine. For lorry seats, they've got not just sort of lumbar supports, backrest adjustments, but they've got suspension, firmness, ride height, forward and aft movement, and all that sort of stuff. But fortunately for us, all we need to do is to actually remove the pad itself. So how we do that is to just slide this forward. So we lift it, and whilst we're on the seat, I can't do it now because I've only got one hand available. Basically, we sit on the seat, move the seat forward to its fullermost position, and then we just literally, whilst we're in that position, tweak this lever slightly to the side just by a few millimeters, and then pull the base off. And you'll be able to see that more closely in a second once I've actually done it. So here we go. Apologies that we can't do that all in one shot, but basically, as I say, you lift that lever there, and then whilst you're doing that, just cant it slightly towards the door and pull on the seat, and the whole base just pops away, as simple as that. And you will see underneath that there are sort of keyway slots, so you've got square retainers on one end, and then the slide movement available on each of the four corners, and they correspond, if I can just get back up into the cab, they basically correspond with those tabs that you see around there. Yeah, so to get the seat base back on, we basically align those four slots with those keyways, and then press back onto the press the seat belt back on, and that's kind of it really. Seat base, I should say. So let's just have a look at the underside. Excuse the very dodgy camera work here, perched on the back of the steps. Right, okay, so what we've got here is the slide position. You will see the detent marks on there, which line up into the little rails at the front there. And so what you'll notice is this little bar, this lever, has got, if I can hold it steady, just a couple of millimeters of movement. Yeah, so although there's thread lock on that bolt and it is actually clamped down, there is a tiny bit of movement, and you'll see the edge, how it's got an angle to it, got like a lip. So when you get to here, this is where you need to just release a couple of degrees away, and that'll pull it away. So that's that one. Now the next thing we thought was, okay, well that's easy enough, so all we'll do is we'll swap it for the passenger one, and that will be that. So let's have a look if that's the same. And so the passenger seat looks pretty much the same, so hopefully it would work, just a straight swap. And I did research this online somewhat, and some people said it was a straight swap probably, others said they didn't think it was. And to quote Vsauce, if the question is are the seats interchangeable, the answer is yes. Or are they? So let's have a look. So for the passenger seat, first thing we do is we take this little plate off. There's a couple of Allen screws just in the side with 3mm Allen key. We'll get those out. That then shows us kind of the equivalent of the last one. I'm not sure if there's even supposed to be a handle on this or not, but there's no actual sort of fore and aft position movements on this. So all we're going to do now is get a screwdriver under there, pop that up just as we did with the other one, and move it again to the side just slightly, and then we'll lift on the seat and it'll pull away. For the passenger one then, we lifted the tab all the way up into the seat base and pushed it simultaneously. You might be able to see a little bit of movement there, just a couple of degrees towards the driver's side, and then slide the base forward and lift up. And again, we've got those keyways and those key slots, so looks like we'd be able to just do a straightforward swap. So let's compare and contrast the two seats and see what we can do. And so here's the definitive answer as to whether or not they're interchangeable. At first glance they look very, very similar, but we noticed to start with, of course, this release bar here hasn't got any notches in it because it's a fixed position, whereas the driver one has the slots in there which are what engage into the front of the seat base to set the fore and aft movement, the horizontal movement. Now you also notice things like that's a flat base, and this one's got a hole there and various slots at the back. It doesn't look too much different to start with until you come around and then realise, of course, that the passenger one is significantly deeper than the driver's one. So the driver's one is almost flat, and the passenger one is actually quite raised. And now that becomes apparent when you look back inside the lorry. Of course, you've got all your various sort of actuators and various cables, airlines and etc in there, so of course that comes up to the bottom of the seat, and therefore you've got to have a shallower seat base. Therefore the two are not the same and not interchangeable. So what we've done instead is, by putting a screwdriver through the bottom of and opening up inside that groove there, the actual seat cover itself has got a nice little sort of plastic extrusion that's sewn into it and runs all the way through. So if you unpick that all the way around, it's non-destructive. You can pull away the seat foam and the cover, and I did that for both. So I now have reinstated the passenger side seat foam, which was in good condition, and the cover, which isn't too bad to be fair, back onto the driver's seat. So that's given him his comfort back on the driver's seat. And for the passenger one, we were going to completely refinish it but decided against it in the end. So all we've done there is contact adhesive on the edges. We've put some upholstery staples in there, taped it inside and slightly outside also, and refitted it. We also rebuilt the bolster as well. We put some new foam in there to rebuild the bolster, just in case anybody does want to use it at any point. So it will still be comfortable and safe for passengers, but it just means that the general aesthetic of the lorry is unaffected. We've got still got the same seats. So in essence, the answer to the question is, do they fit? Well, essentially yes they do in terms of the seat foam and the covers, but they don't in terms of the bases. But they're both easy to get out, so rather than what we were quoted about £1,500 for a new seat, we've just done a bit of jiggery pokery, and that will do us just fine. So hopefully that was useful. Any of you lorry owners out there, I presume various other brands of wagon will have similar seating arrangements, but that just answers the question, at least on the Scania 400 series. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back again with some slightly more retro stuff very soon. So stay tuned and please subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.